If you touch them, the consequences will be far more intense than you can imagine. My emotions will boil over, wild and controllable, and you won't know how to handle it when I lose control. It's a feeling that rises from deep within me, like a beast waking from its slumber. Touch them, and you'll see just how wild and untamable I can be. Don't mistake my quiet demeanor for weakness. The moment you touch them, something inside me will snap, and I'll show you just how fiercely wild I can become. It's not just about the touch itself, it's about what it ignites in me, an uncontrollable force of emotion that will break free and leave nothing in its wake but chaos and passion. You can try to ignore it, but the moment someone touches them, a wild storm starts brewing inside me. And when it hits, you'll feel every bit of the intensity and fury I've been holding back. If you dare touch them, you'll see how quickly my calm exterior crumbles. What follows is pure, unfiltered chaos as my emotions spiral out of control and I go wild. What you think is a simple touch is actually a trigger, a moment that sets off a chain reaction inside me, a wild and passionate reaction that cannot be undone. The second you touch them, you'll feel it, the shift in the air, the rise in my heartbeat. It's not just anger, it's everything I've been holding inside, ready to explode into wild emotions. The more you touch them, the more you awaken a side of me that's wild and untamed. Don't think for a second that you can escape the storm once it's unleashed. Touching them is like setting off an explosion deep inside me. Every emotion I've kept hidden comes rushing to the surface, and when it does, it's pure, unbridled chaos. I know how to keep my calm, but if you touch them, I won't be able to hold back. It's like a wild animal being freed from its cage. The aftermath will be something you can't control. When you touch what's mine, it doesn't just stir feelings. It stirs a fire that burns everything in its path. You won't be prepared for the wild emotions that follow. Every nerve in my body awakens when you dare touch them. It's like a spark igniting a blaze, and once it's burning, nothing can stop the wild energy that follows. The more you touch them, the more my heart races. It's not just passion, it's a force of nature, ready to break free and show you just how wild my emotions can get. You won't know what hit you when you touch them. It's a side of me that's rarely seen, a side that's filled with wild emotions, powerful and unstoppable. If you think you can touch them without consequence, think again. Once my feelings go wild, there's no stopping them. It's a wave that will crash over everything in its path. Touching them awakens something in me that I can't control. My emotions become a tempest, a wild storm that will rage until I've made my feelings known. Every part of me wants to protect what's mine, and if you think you can just touch them without provoking me, then you'll soon learn how wild my emotions can get when they're unleashed. I'm calm until you lay a hand on them. Then my emotions are like a hurricane, fierce, powerful, and relentless. You won't know how to handle it when it's too late. It's not just a touch, it's a challenge, a line crossed that unleashes a side of me you never wishful thought existed. When I go wild, it's all consuming and unstoppable. If you touch them, you'll awaken something inside me that I can't keep hidden. It's a wildfire that won't stop until everything in its path is scorched. Don't think for a second that a touch is just a touch. It's a spark that ignites an uncontrollable fire within me, one that will go wild and burn everything in its way. You don't understand the power of what you're triggering when you touch them. It's not just a physical reaction, it's an emotional avalanche that will crash down on you in an instant. The moment you lay a finger on them, my calm exterior cracks, and all that's left is a wild, untamed surge of feelings that you won't be able to handle. When you touch them, something inside me shifts, like a switch being flipped. My emotions flood out, wild and untamed, and once they're free, there's no going back. You'll see a side of me that you've never seen before if you touch them. My feelings will erupt in a wild, uncontrollable surge that will leave everything in its wake. Don't ever think I'm too calm to react. When you touch what's mine, I'm not just going to get upset. I'm going to go wild, and nothing will stop me from showing you how deep my feelings run. I'm not the type to lose control, but if you touch them, I'll show you a wild side that you'll regret provoking. There's no stopping me once my emotions take over. Touch them, and you'll see me transform. The calmness fades, and all that's left is the wild, untamable passion that boils inside of me. The very thought of someone laying their hands on what's mine makes my blood boil with fire. I'm not sure if it's passion or rage, but whatever it is, it ignites something primal within me. Touch them, and I'll show you just how wild the storm can get. When the world dares to touch what I care for, it unleashes something uncontrollable inside of me. My feelings become untamed, wild, and raw, fueled by a ferocious instinct to protect what's mine at all costs. Touching them is like crossing a boundary that should never be crossed. The consequences of such an action are beyond anyone's understanding, because I'm not just upset, I'm transformed into something unstoppable, something wild. There's a fire that burns inside me when I feel like someone is intruding on my territory, a fire that cannot be put out. If you dare lay a hand on them, prepare for a side of me you've never seen before. The moment you touch them, the calm facade I maintain shatters into chaos. My emotions will run wild, and you'll see a part of me that will make you wish you had never crossed the line. I can feel the anger building in my chest when I think of anyone trying to claim what's mine. It's not jealousy, it's protection, and it will drive me to the point of being absolutely wild with passion. My heart beats faster at the thought of someone touching them. It's not just anger, it's the raw energy of someone who knows what they want and is ready to protect it fiercely. There's a dark side to me that only shows when someone dares to touch what I treasure. You won't like it when I go wild, because when I do, everything becomes unpredictable and dangerous. You may think it's just a touch, a harmless gesture, but to me, it's a declaration of war. Cross that line, and I'll show you how deep my feelings really go, how wild they can become. If you dare lay a finger on them, I'll lose all sense of control. The intensity of my emotions will overtake everything I am, and you'll witness a side of me that's wild beyond reason. The moment they're touched by someone else, something snaps inside me. It's not just a fleeting emotion, it's a primal urge to protect what belongs to me. Watch out, because I'm about to get wild. You can feel it in the air when someone crosses the line. The tension, the fire that starts to burn uncontrollably. I can't promise I'll stay calm when you touch them, because something deep inside me will snap and go wild. There's something about the thought of someone else's hands on them that stirs something fierce within me. You won't see it coming, but once it's unleashed, you'll realize how wild I can truly be. The instant I feel the slightest shift in their space, my entire being goes into overdrive. If you think touching them is harmless, you're gravely mistaken, because I'm not just upset, I'm about to go wild. Every instinct within me screams when I sense someone encroaching on my territory. I will go wild with everything I have, because no one touches what belongs to me without facing the consequences. There's a line you should never cross, and the moment you touch them, it's like stepping into a storm. It doesn't take much for the wildness inside me to surface, and when it does, you won't know what hit you. Don't make the mistake of thinking I'll stay calm when you touch what's mine. Inside, I'm an untamed force, ready to break free and show you just how wild I can truly be. It's not about possession, it's about protecting what means the most to me. If you think you can touch them without consequences, just wait until you see what happens when I go wild. My feelings are like a fire waiting to explode. When you touch them, that fire will consume everything in its path, and I won't stop until I've shown you the power of my emotions. Touch them, and it's not just a physical response I'll have, it's a surge of emotions, a flood of feelings that will break loose and go wild in ways you can't even comprehend. There's something about the way my emotions come alive when you touch them. It's like unleashing a storm that's been building up, and when it hits, it's wild and uncontrollable. The moment someone else dares to touch what belongs to me, everything changes. I'm no longer calm or composed. Everything inside me becomes wild, intense, and unrelenting. The thought of someone else touching them makes my blood run cold, but not in fear, in fury. You can't imagine how wild my feelings will become when I lose control over what's mine. I don't need to say much. Just know that if you touch them, you're unlocking something inside of me. It's a force of nature, wild and unpredictable, and I won't be able to stop it. I'm calm and collected until you do something as simple as touch them. Then all my emotions flare up like a wildfire, and there's nothing anyone can do to stop me from going wild.